the show begin. Next generation for the win. We're going all in. All together now, let's begin. Let the show begin.
So we're here in the WiT Studio with Mike McGearty, CEO and co-founder of Meili. Mike, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
This is like I wouldn't say a shameless plug. It's a plug for a podcast that we have on the WiT website called Future Lanes. And this is a sort of extension of that. So you can catch that podcast that you are featured on, that you host with Siu-Hun. But I wanted to ask you today, like you've spoken about ushering a new age of loyalty in previous interviews that you've done with us with Web and Travel. What does loyalty mean in the context of B2B mobility solutions?
Okay, so I think loyalty for us has been, as a tech provider,
Right.
Our ability to integrate with all of the different loyalty programs and provide consistency to the customer, but huge value and enabling value right across the value chain has been really important. And the results are very, very strong. So, to break it down, we integrate into, I'm going to use an airline as an example here. We integrate into their loyalty program. We integrate into the car rental companies that they want to partner with their loyalty program. So therefore, if you're booking with an airline at car rental for the first time, you can have reciprocal agreements as part of the loyalty. So if you're a prestige member of their loyalty program but never rented a car before, that can give you status, reciprocal status with the car rental company.
Right.
So if you're booking with Hertz or Avis or Enterprise or Sixt or Europcar as part of their car rental program, they'll recognize you.
Right.
So that's a particular added value for the customer. Also, the ability to earn points at every step of the journey as well is very, very important. And what we see is that the behavior of those who are part of a loyalty program are less likely to cancel. They're more likely to book. And basically they're motivated by the loyalty program in a particular way. So if you're looking to generate demand, you can use the loyalty program to reward the customer and to increase the overall number of bookings that you can generate. So therefore, there's a win-win right across the value chain. So the customer is winning because they're getting more benefits, better product, better experience, etc. The airline is benefiting because they're getting more third-party ancillary revenue, and the car rental companies are benefiting as well,
Right.
Through that partnership. So that for me is, one element that's increasing. Another part of it is then when you introduce the redemption side, and that just further enhances the overall outcomes that you can deliver. So loyalty for me is something that we will continue to see more and more. I think of the service providers having reciprocal agreements and opening up that ecosystem for customers to enhance the benefits that they can enjoy going forward.
So as sort of an extension of that question, what are the strategies that you are employing at Meili to foster those meaningful customer relationships?
So I suppose the first thing is looking at the customer.
Right.
So if you put the customer first, and this has been one of the driving elements behind Meili as a business, put the customer first. Look at what they're what's going to benefit the customer experience best, removing the friction, having absolute transparency in what's happening and who they're booking with, what the service is. So focusing in on the service attributes rather than just price. And a lot of systems, previously the business we built was very much focused on price as a single component, whereas now we can focus on the customer's intent, what they're looking for, and actually put in front of them the right products and services that we believe are closely mirrored against their intent. And therefore, it allows them to book the service that they wish to book. And that flows down, and the benefits of that flow down then to the other stakeholders or parts of the partnership. So the airline benefits from that. So for us, it's looking at people who are closely aligned to that distribution strategy where we can enable those relationships. And, that means as well that the customer, any disruption is properly managed within the system because it's directly with the service provider. So there's no middle person that you have to go through when something happens. But also, if you want to download the service provider's app and pre-register for your rentals so that you can save time at the desk or avoid the desk completely, that option is there. So it's looking to see where, our partners are looking for distribution, where we can add value, where we can streamline things, where we're removing friction and adding transparency for the customer.
Right. And it's interesting because the way you describe it, it's a very, I guess it's a very top-down sort of strategy, something that's established and then trickles down and becomes sort of like company culture in a way.
Very much so. And, one of the key drivers behind Meili was, we've a lot of domain knowledge and of this industry. So we know it inside out. We know the distribution side. We know the service providers, etc. First of all, having that vision of what you want to build and why the opportunity exists,
right?
And what what problem you're going to fix or what value you're going to add, and hopefully both. So having that kind of vision and strategy, being able to execute it, and then it's about building out customers, partners, and employees to help execute against that.
Right. You said you have domain expertise, and this industry very well, right? And I think that's hinting at your previous role as CEO of CarTrawler. And I wanted to ask you, what is the number one takeaway or lesson or learning that you've gained from your time as CEO of CarTrawler that you've sort of carried with you and that guides you at Meili today?
Sure. So I think one of the key aspects is, values and culture are so important in building a business. And so knowing what your values are, knowing what the type of culture that you want to build within an organization, and then protecting that and making sure as you hire in that you hire people that believe in the vision of the business, but also believe in the values and believe in the culture, and that they're going to come in and embrace and enjoy that environment and not do anything to become a disruptor to it, because that's so important. Good execution requires alignment right across the way, and if you don't have alignment in the values and the culture and the vision of the business, you're definitely not going to win. I think the other key takeaway that we took from our previous business was building something that we knew would scale, right, and scale very efficiently, and that was really, really important for us. And having I would say a commercial model that created alignment across all of the stakeholders rather than friction. And, our previous business as a broker model created a hell of a lot of friction. And that is very difficult to manage on a continuous basis.
Right. And I mean, we've seen examples of what you're speaking about, like one bad apple, and how it ruins the entire thing, right? All the plans just go out the window.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a very old saying. One bad apple can spoil the orchard. Yeah, and it's very true. And the disruption that can cause within a business, and if you're looking at something, anything that can impact you for 6 months or 12 months, like that's a hell of a long time. And if you're building a business and trying to scale a business on a global front, 6-12 months of disruption or delay is very, very, very significant. And you have to think of the ripple effect that has. As a ripple effect on your customers, it has a ripple effect on your partners. So, knowing what your values are, knowing what your vision is, the culture that you want to create, hiring people that you know fit into that, hopefully remove certain risks that you certainly don't want within your business.
Right. You've also hinted at expanding into different verticals. What kinds of verticals are those? What are you thinking about?
So I think one of the great things about Meili is, we're a very transparent tech provider. And that means it leads to very open conversations with our customers, with our partners. And therefore, we're discussing our roadmap, our plans as a business. They openly engage with us, I think, because of our expertise in the industry and our domain knowledge. It facilitates a lot of those conversations. And that means that you get to explore new areas. So any of the new verticals that we're looking at are very much driven by those conversations. I think then you have to look at what's happening in the market. And if you look at the market, the top of the funnel is becoming much more competitive now than it was 5 years ago.
Right.
And you're seeing, OTAs who previously were, you could categorize them as hotel only OTAs, are now moving up to flights. So therefore, that's creating certain tension, and there's question marks over, channels as well, and whether, can you be friend and foe at the same time? Like, some people will project that you can. I would say, having coming from a broker environment, it's not sustainable over a long period of time.
Right.
I think one of the key things is you have to have transparency about what lanes and you're driving in. And it becomes a lot more difficult if you're driving in multiple lanes, and especially if you're driving in the same lane as somebody that you're potentially partnering with. So having that clarity is really, really important. And for us, that's really, really important, that we stay in a single lane and that we have that focus. But that means that, we can be a technology player, but across multiple verticals.
Right.
But we only are a technology player. We're an enabler of the strategies that they want to pursue.
Right. And that means that you've got to have a lot of strong bonds and partnerships. You are a B2B organization.
Yeah.
What are some of the key factors that make strong partnerships? Like, what do you look for before approaching people and before saying
I think there has to be an alignment there. So,
right.
The value that we add and create has to be something that either there's a strong desire on their side that they want. So, if you look at our partners, the car rental companies that we're working with, they want to shift more and more of their business to direct distribution through direct partnerships. So we can enable that for them. And because, that's the only lane that we're driving in, there's no competitive tension there whatsoever. So looking for partners there. And then it's ensuring that the value that we can create, that there's full alignment. Now all of the data that we collect and analyze, that's of huge value to our partners. And again, we're fully sharing that with them, showing them what new opportunities may exist, things that they're not aware of. So it's just being a valuable partner. Right. But as I say, the fact is that there's a clear alignment between what you want to, what you're helping them achieve, but it's their strategy. We're just helping them execute against that.
Right. Now with AI being everywhere and it's in every conversation, what is the one thing that you think that technology cannot fix when it comes to business or business acumen? It's just not a thing that technology can solve. It still needs people.
Yeah. So I think, one of the things that AI cannot do is build relationships, manage relationships. They can't do the human capital side. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
And hopefully that's something that will be a value that we continue to hold.
Right.
But it's very much relationships matter, especially in the travel industry. Travel industry has a very deep network of relationships, and having trust and track record is really, really important, because what we're doing as a technology business, you have to be trusted. You have to be like people you're integrating into their environment. They have to know that you know what you're doing, that you've a track record here of working with hundreds of airlines over, multiple decades at this stage. So the human side really matters. The relationships matter, continuing to add value to those relationships. And as I say, that's something where AI can help us add value to those relationships, but they can't create them and manage them from a human perspective.
Right. You also believe in keeping your team lean and efficient. How do you maintain a nimble, agile organization while scaling globally? Because it seems like they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, right? Especially in such a capital-intensive industry like travel.
Yeah, well, I suppose LLMs are very much assisting us in that. So that has been a huge advancement, compared to the previous business that we built. Right. The fact that we have built a new platform over the last number of years means that it's much easier then to, I think, embrace LLMs, because you don't have a legacy stack, right? You have what you've built is built based on what's best of class now in a cloud environment, etc. So it's much easier and simpler. It's much more cost effective, right. And then you can leverage LLMs. And the other thing is, you hire very, very well. So you hire the right expertise and right leadership into the business, which is crucially, absolutely important.
No bad apples.
It's not even the bad, definitely no bad apples, right? But it's having people with expertise, right? So one of the key things, and our co-founder at Meili, Bobby, is the technology person in the relationship, right? I'm the commercial person. He's the techie. One of the key things I remember, like 20 years ago, Bobby said to me, you have to be so careful what you build. Everybody will ask for everything, and the amount of what gets actually used is maybe 10%. So one of the things we know now, because we have great knowledge and expertise in the industry, is what to build. And we're strong enough to say no to the stuff that we should never build. Right. When somebody asks for things, it's very much up to us to understand why they're asking and what they're looking to achieve. And then we figure out the right solution that scales across the platform, rather than creating lots of bespoke, custom built solutions for many, many people. So we build it once and we make it configurable for everybody. But it's one code base, and that's it. Right. So I think, having a strong team with expertise, understanding what goes into the roadmap, and analyzing that and saying no upfront rather than wasting time allows you to have a much more efficient, scalable team. Right.
Last question.
Okay.
What does an ideal utopian mobility industry look like to you? I wanted to ask you what next generation means to you, but I guess it's one and the same.
Look, I think it's utopia is a long distance away. I think, one of the things that we're very passionate about is removing some of the major friction points. And I think we've started that, and what we're seeing is the results are very, very strong.
Right.
By removing a lot of the friction, making it easier, connecting customers directly with the service provider, that is producing very, very strong results for everybody, very low level of customer complaints, etc. So I think, you need to start with some of the biggest issues, create that transparency, create trust, remove friction, and then you can look and see what are the next steps of evolution for mobility. I think mobility as a product is going to evolve hugely, and we're seeing it already. Asset ownership is reducing significantly, especially in younger generations. We're seeing, cities now are being built in a different way to accommodate less vehicles being owned. Even hotels are being planned differently in how they're being built in many cities now, where they're not going underground with car parks. They're building them above ground so that as they need less car parking, they can convert them back into rooms.
Rooms and space,
so there's lots of changes happening. So in mobility, whether you want a car for a couple of hours, whether you want it for a weekend, whether you want a different car midweek and a larger car at the weekend when you're with your family, all of these things have to be accommodated. So I think you will see huge product innovation for the customer as their requirements change. For us as a technical provider, we need to make sure that we're able to put that right product in front of the customers through the different partner channels that the car rental companies want to distribute their products through. So that's it for us. But I think, utopian view. I think it's a distance away yet, but I think we start by solving for the biggest problems first and create real trust and transparency in the products and services that customers are looking for today.
Right. Mike, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
They're ready now. Let the show begin. Next generation for the win. We're going all in. Take center stage now. Let's begin.